Hi, welcome to Girl in the Green Wellies. Today I'm going to tell you the top 5 pests that we have problems with here on the plot, and if you have them too, we're going to show you how we prevent them so you can do the same at home. So the first pest I'm going to talk about isn't one you'd necessarily think of straight away. It's cats. Now, I'm absolutely a cat person. My mum's got 2 cats, my sister's got 2 cats, Andy used to have a cat. It's actually great having cats at the allotment because they help keep mice and rats away. But one of the things I don't want at the allotment is cats using our freshly dug bed as a litter tray. That does happen here at the allotment, so we have struggled a little bit to work out the best way to tackle it. So these are the ways that we do it here. We will use either orange peel or citrus peel dotted around. Cats don't like the smell of that. Another thing that we've started to use as well are twigs. Now, by getting twigs on top of the bed or sticking it in, it just makes it really awkward for cats to come and use your beds as a litter tray. So I found this way, using the twigs in conjunction with the citrus peel, is the best way for us to keep cats off the plot. So the next pest I'm going to talk about are green fly, aphids and black fly. Now, if you suffer from these, you'll know that they tend to go for tomatoes, broad beans, runner beans, anything like that that's out in the plot. If you spot them quick enough, you can just squish them with your thumb. If you do find that that's a bit icky or there's too many of them, there's a couple of other things you can do. Companion planting is a great way to help control black fly and aphids. Things like nasturtiums alongside your plants and vegetables will actually draw the black fly and green fly away, so you can use nasturtiums as a sacrificial crop. Another thing you can do is make your own kind of spray. You can use neem oil, or if you've got just normal dish soap with a sprinkling of cayenne pepper topped up with water, that's great to spray on. Just remember, if you do use any sprays, give your crops a good wash before you eat them, otherwise you're going to get an added pinch of chilli with your vegetables. So while you want to encourage some birds to your allotment to eat the slugs, you do find that sometimes the birds and pigeons get a little bit carried away and start to attack your crops. Now, there's a couple of ways you can tackle this. One, you can make yourself a scarecrow, which will be great fun if you've got kids. 2, you can give the birds their own food. But what I've found works best here is just to simply net the vegetables. Now, I did plant out some kohlrabi right beside the peas, thinking that the peas would distract the birds from what's actually growing down below, but I was wrong. One of them had actually been completely pigeon pecked, so up went the net. I do find that making sure that you have the net fully over the area, make sure there's no holes or kind of gaping bits for the birds to come into, because the last thing you want to do is to have a bird trapped in there. But that for me seems to help keep all the vegetables and the fruit. If you grow your own fruit, you will absolutely have to net your fruit, otherwise you'll come back and you'll have little holes pecked into all of them, or simply none left at all. But netting, I do find, is the best way to keep the birds off your veg. So the next pest I'm going to talk about are butterflies and caterpillars. So obviously you can't have one without the other. So the first thing we need to do is make sure to protect your crops from the butterflies, because when the butterflies land, they will lay eggs on your crops, and then the eggs will hatch into caterpillars, and we all know about the very hungry caterpillar who will eat everything in sight. So the way to do that is by using quite a fine mesh net over your crops. Now here I've got one which will heighten as the crops get bigger throughout the season. Even if it can touch the vegetables, the butterfly will land on that and still be able to lay the eggs. So the net will rise as the vegetables get taller, and that will stop any eggs from being laid and keep the crop in good health. The next thing I've done with the brassicas, just while I'm talking to you about this, is I put brassica collars around the bottom. Now there is a cabbage root fly that will land, and the larvae that hatch on the bottom, and the soil around your brassicas will burrow into your plant and destroy the root and kill the plant. So by using the brassica collars, it prevents that from happening too. So top of the list for pests for me at the allotment are slugs and snails. They have completely wiped out an entire pumpkin and courgette bed for me before. Here one day, gone the next. So there's a couple of things that I've learned that work for me, and they might work for you too. Keeping it organic, the first thing you can try are beer traps. The only thing that I find with that is by sinking the lid and filling it with beer. It does attract the slugs, but you have to deal with them afterwards, and that's a little bit too gross for me. Another thing you can do is a nighttime slug hunt, where you can come down and pick them off your patch, but then again you have to get rid of them. The way that I've found that works best for me is to plant my tender crops out a little bit later. So what I do with things like pumpkins and courgettes now, I put them in big pots and I let them grow on in the big pots, and I find that the slugs and snails will leave the more mature plants alone and they just don't go anywhere near them. Another thing that I tend to do is companion plant with these. So I have got marigolds in the beds as well, and that will help provide a little bit of a barrier too for your plants. The last thing that I do is I make the ground as uncomfortable as possible for slugs and snails to travel on. So here I've got coffee grounds, I can put ground up eggshells in there, I've actually got crinkle cardboard as well, which will also mulch down and provide again some organic matter for your plot. By following these tips, I've found that it helps keep my vegetables slug and snail free, and that means that there's more vegetables for me. Well, they're my top 5 pests on the plot and how we deal with them here. If you have any of these pests or you deal with them the same way or even different ways, please pop your comments in the section below. I'd love to hear how you manage them. Remember, if you like the videos, give us a big thumbs up, subscribe on the link below, and we'll see you again soon.